Hello, just want to respond to Ken and Zach Goldsmith, Ken Livingston and Zach Goldsmith conversation we was having on LBC about the low emission zone. Ken's last thing to me was that I didn't want the low emission zone. That is false. I want the low emission zone. I have, my van is a Euro 2 Sprinter. It's running on biodiesel. I've got a second-hand DPF filter off a 2012 van from the bought it quite legally from the local vehicle dismantlers. I've also got a water reforming steam a water mist device which helps to save fuel and therefore reduce emissions, because I don't waste as much fuel. You can check my other videos, check my uploads, you'll find one called Water Fuel Mercedes. Now the fact is that the point I was trying to make is that any vehicle is classified, when you pay your road tax, you are classified as having a certain amount of emissions, which is what the pay scale of the road tax payments is based on. It's all based on emissions, right? Now, unfortunately, Zach mentioned biodiesel, right? It's great. I took that as lip service, Zach, I'm afraid, because biodiesel isn't recognised on that pay scale, on the road tax. I sent you a tweet about it, a couple of tweets. I'll try and put a link down below to anything I say here, any evidence I've got from any independent emissions tests for on-road testing. What proves, I'll get back to the biodiesel in a second, what proves that when you test vehicles on the road, Euro 2, Euro 3, Euro 4, Euro 5, Euro 6, right? Every structure in place by the European Union, the European standards, each step, Euro 2, it told me, it says in my book, in my vehicle manual, roughly what my emissions are. The Euro 3 emissions are meant to be better. The Euro 4 are meant to be better than the Euro 3. The Euro 5 are meant to be better than Euro 4. Euro 6 better than the Euro 5. But when you test the vehicle on the road, they are exactly the same. And in fact, there's a company called Emissions Analytics. The link below will show you with proof of the hundreds of vehicles that they've tested that the actually on the road, the new vehicles are slightly worse than the old vehicles. They're pretty much level. So the graph for their proposed graph, emissions dropping, it's in fact it's up here and it's remained the same. It's done nothing. Okay, so Boris Johnson has based the low emission zone on old manufactured data, where they'll disconnect a battery when they're testing a vehicle to get it through the examination what they use. I'll put the links below, all the proofs below, okay? They'll take the battery off, they'll put sellotape around the doors, they'll put sellotape around the grille to try and get the emissions down, to try and make them more aerodynamic, right? So that they'll disconnect the battery for whatever reason. I can't think right this moment. So bear that in mind, right? A real-time driving emissions testing has to be brought forward. The mayor has banned older vehicles from London, like we're saying in the conversation. He's banned older vehicles from London on their age. This is the same tactic he's using for taxis, the TX2s. The taxis are meant to have or he said the older taxis are meant to be worse than the new taxis. Well, do some on-road testing, Zach. Have someone look into it. Right? It's not even close to the truth. It's a bit of a mantra that old is bad, new is good. If there was some facts behind that, I wouldn't be doing this video. Okay? It's not like the taxis, older taxis, cannot use other devices, you know, or change their, like something I've built, but they have to jump through. Is it LDTA, London Drivers Taxi Association, or LTDA? One of them. They have to jump through hoops. They have to get past. Devices have to be registered, or they have to work on every age of taxi to get past, which is ridiculous because supposedly the older taxis are worse polluting, but there's stuff stopping that. Right? There's stuff stopping me using biodiesel and being cleaner. The tax system, for example, like I've mentioned, doesn't recognise biodiesel. Okay? Doesn't recognise it. Right? So I'm paying too much tax because my vehicle is cleaner. This is what the pay scale is for. It's meant to say that it's telling me I'm up here on emissions. I'm not. I'm down here. Right? And the new van on diesel with the DPF filter is going to be dirtier than me with my biodiesel and my water fuel thing, what I have on my exhaust, which works, by the way. It's not a myth. I'm not wearing a tin foil hat, you know. It works. Test is paramount. Testing, actual testing, not a fabrication or an implied standard. It's only implied. It's not tested. During the normal driving conditions, you cannot rely on a laboratory test performed by the manufacturer as proof. Look, the reason I'm objecting is because of that, because of the fuel structure, and also because that I can go and buy a second-hand filter quite legally and legitimately and fit it to my vehicle on my own. I don't need to spend £2,000 because the mayor has several people that he has rubber stamped so that they can perform and they get a guarantee. They must have done all the figures. There's this many old vans. They're going to have to come to some of you. They must have worked something out, right, to say that these lot can earn a certain amount of cash. They'll give a certain amount to the they'll inject some into the budget. The economy will grow. La 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 la. I'm not simpleton here. I do understand how these things work, but I don't understand how the on the other side of the scale is the money put into the low emission zone to supposedly reduce emissions, right, isn't doing anything. Right? Like I said, can you test them on the road? They are the same. They're worse. They're the same or to worse. Yeah, they're going from same as a Euro 2, which is 1999, which is nearly 15 years old, right? A 10-year-old vehicle. Oh, my phone fell over. That's funny, but it decided to fall over. A 10-year-old vehicle, a 5-year-old vehicle, my 15-year-old vehicle is cleaner than, but I'm banned from London. Now, if you can tell me any sense in that, if there is any sense in that, right, then I'd love to hear it. I would love to hear it. Come to my email, I'll put it below, or Twitter me, or get in touch, or follow me on Twitter and send me a message and I'll send you my email, whatever. Right? I don't think this can be left to continue on and on and on. I've been shouting about this for a couple of years since the low emission zone was introduced, but I'm not getting listened to be honest. And definitely Boris isn't going to listen to me. Right? He can say on the news that the old Euro standards are no good. That's the first thing I've heard him actually say, right? But he's then saying that the Euro 6 is better, but it isn't. It's no better, right? It's no better. I think he's trying to get people to buy new vehicles, right? Now, I wouldn't tell anyone to buy a new diesel or a new petrol car, right? I wouldn't, right? I'd say go electric or go hybrid. And I'd also moan that, look at every manufacturer in England, right? How are they being allowed to call a vehicle eco, right, when they are specifically and solely using a fossil fuel as well as the electric? Now, there are other fuels, there's CNG, there's biomethane, biogas, LPG, any of these fuels, right, are available, right? So how can they allow the manufacturers to make vehicles for our country which will get the red tape cut from, you know, the cutting the ribbon, come into London, yeah? They're still using a fossil fuel. Petrol is still carcinogenic. It might be lower emissions, but it's not the best it can be. Why isn't it the best it can be? And I had another idea. I'll send you some more info down there. FSAERT. Right? I sent this to Fiona Hall, the MEP. Fuel saving and emissions reduction technology, right? If every manufacturer had to have a list to prove that they have looked at each product on the market claiming to reduce emissions, or say fuel. Well, my battery's nearly running out. Keep it going a little bit. So, fuel saving and emissions reduction technology. Now, if you have a list, like there's several water-based ones. There's small hydrogen cells and these water mist technologies, right, which will cut emissions. Okay, so we can't really trust them no more. I've read something. I can't think of his name. I could put another tweet or link here. That they shouldn't go too far. I think he's a lawyer for the European Commission. Zilliberger or something his name is. I don't know what it is. Saying that they shouldn't push the manufacturers too far. Right? So sort of, you read between the lines, I sort of see where he's coming from with that. Right? If they're not even going to attempt to put the manufacturers in their place, right, to tell them that they are actually responsible for making these vehicles, right, without providing a cleaner alternative or an absolute standard of this vehicle when it comes to the sales, to the manufacturer's outlet, right? The showroom, the car showroom. What? You would know that we've tested it with this, with that, with this, with that. We're using this and that because they work. We're not using this and that because they don't really work for us. They might work for someone else, but we tested it, and this vehicle is as clean as it possibly can be, right? And the hybrid style, right? It should be LPG, right? Shouldn't be petrol. Anything shouldn't be petrol. They shouldn't be allowed to sell vehicles here solely using petrol, right? Cleaner fuels are available, right? Biodiesel, for example, for diesel cars, right? There's CNG, there's plenty of other biofuels. I've done a lot of work on this, a lot of studying on this. I've read a lot up about this because the mayor's ruined my life. Okay, he's banned me from London without testing my vehicle. Right, my vehicle is cleaner than a 2009, which is 10 years older than me. My vehicle is cleaner. I'm on biodiesel. I've got these other devices. I'm a lot cleaner. The engine's more powerful. The testing in the low emission zone centres focuses on one single solitary emission, which is NOx or NO2 and NOx, right? This needs to be opened up. They need to stop that 2 and 3, CO2. They need to open it up, for benzene, any of the endocrine disruptors, the endocrine disruptors, the carcinogenic components of the fossil fuel. I sort of understand why it isn't being done. I do understand why it isn't being done. There's a lot of money at stake, right? There's so many pollutants, carcinogenic components to these fossil fuels, right? Any reduction in pollution is necessary. Every reduction is necessary, right? But it's not being done. It's being kicked forward to 2020, or it's being kicked forward. I've got every faith in people choosing, but they are still only receiving a narrative which is old is bad, new is good, which is complete falsehood, right? I don't hear you ever say that again, Zach Goldsmith, right? Because I'll take you to task on it, right? I'll take you to task, right? I want you to open your eyes and see what is happening here. The complete structure has failed to address anything. The complete structure is being used, every legislation and framed pattern of rules and so-called standards they've failed completely, drastically. This is a health issue, Zach. They're being used then to introduce another scheme which isn't going to work. It's based on that. How is it ever going to work? This has failed, right? The original data is wrong, completely wrong, right? There's something else. There's so many other ways to sort this out with the manufacturers. Give them a month driving their vehicle around a town with a mobile on-road testing. There are plenty of firms that do it. I think even Which do it, or What Car, one of them do an on-road testing. Emissions Analytics, they do an on-road testing device. Any of the new taxis for London, test a TX4, for example. See what the pollutants are. Don't just disbelieve me because you think I'm, for whatever reason. Don't disbelieve me, right? Shouldn't disbelieve me. Right. I'm listening to the old man here, right? These are the children of London, right? That we have got to protect, right? It's just we hit a recession, right? He's telling me I must spend £2,000. Well, tell me what good it would have done me, right, to have spent £2,000 for going into London to now that he's realised, or there's been so much pressure on him to change this system, right? Now he's realised it's wrong, or that now the budget is starting to slip and they want people to buy Euro 6 and they're going to put more pressure on the consumer, right? You want to change anything, get some biodiesel into London. He's got buses, he's got 100 buses running on chip oil, on 20% chip oil, right? I think it's Stagecoach or Reaver. I'll put a link down here, but it's going to take a while because my laptop's broken at the moment. I'll have to mess about a bit. There's a company in Brighton called Big Lemon who do a bus for the university. They run a bus on biodiesel and they've got something called an econo kit fitted. Right, check it out. Reduces emissions, right? It saves fuel and reduces emissions. Get in touch with them or find the MP, right? And see that there is a way, right? We need a transition. We cannot wait for electric vehicles to come into service, right? It's all right banning them from a city centre because there's more emissions monitoring stations in the city centre. So obviously, we've got to avoid paying Europe fines. Sorry for the sarcasm, but it's got to be done, right? There's more in the city centre, right? There's none outside the city. So you're going to ban them from London. They're going to drive elsewhere, right? The structure of fuels, they raise the tax on biodiesel, right? But it's Becker's belief, right? The structure of fuel, like I said, doesn't recognise biodiesel. The emissions strategy doesn't recognise my actual emissions, right? I cannot prove to you what my emissions are because you won't let me, right? You're basing it solely, well, and I'd say it isn't you, it's just you repeat something really annoyed me, right? They won't recognise what I'm actually, the toxins that I'm producing out my exhaust, right? I cannot explain anymore, they won't recognise what I'm actually producing. They're charging me a road tax based on a false equation, right? Now, I don't really think that's fair, right? Call me stupid. I don't think it's fair. And I think clarity is paramount. It's paramount. It's paramount for everyone. We cannot wait 5-10 years for the majority of cars. I think there's 6 billion vehicles on the planet. If we are going to dally and dally and dally and dally and dally, this is all people's lives here. We're not getting it back. It's not coming back. Right, we're lowering people's lives. We are lowering the quality of life, and we are lowering the very short time that we all have here by allowing this system to continue. You know, find out about the biodiesel. Why? why are the taxi drivers not allowed to use biodiesel? Why are the majority of buses, which has got to be the most single stupidest thing I've ever heard, right? They have a what's it called, like a container, a big bundle, you know, it's something of diesel delivered to the bus garage or filled up, right? So why not fill it up with biodiesel, right? You're going to cut the emissions in half or by a quarter. So any just cannot see. It's just mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. It's that simple, right? I don't think Boris has even fitted all the particulate filters on the entirety of the 7,000 buses in London, right? It's all right him spending money on, what, 8 electric buses? I don't know the number, I know it's under 10, right? And planning electric buses, but there are 7,000 buses driving around polluting London, right? When they could be on biodiesel or half and half. He knows it's working, because, you know, he needs to see Stagecoach. Ask him why, or would you please publish the figures on road testing, right? Ask him to publish the figures. Ask Stagecoach to publish the figures. We're struggling, you know. We're trying to make things better, but we are hitting a brick wall, right? I'm all for the low emission zone. I think I made myself clear on that, right? Otherwise I wouldn't have cleaned my vehicle up. I don't want to be polluting people sitting at the lights while they're standing there with their prams, right? I'm not in London anymore. I don't want to be driving down the road and polluting women and children, right? And people with asthma, you know. There's not a lot I can do about it financially at the moment, okay? I want to do the best that I can. I hope you feel the same. Thank you.